Are your kitchen and bathroom way overdue for a remodel? Well, I got the guy for you. Call John Sellers at First Response Contracting, 484-256-7136. Both residential and commercial services, and he's licensed and insured. Call him at 484-256-7136. First Response Contracting. Hello, this is Brad Weisman. You're listening to Real Estate and You. We've got a guest here for you, like we always do, a good real estate guest here, coming straight from Sarasota, Florida. He was in Washington. He was in Buffalo. God, he came from snow and went to Florida. What a smart guy he is. His name is Tom Zeeb. We're going to bring him on right now, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about getting your investment game together. And Tom, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Brad. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. So the thing that's funny when you were telling me before we started recording, you went from Buffalo to Florida, or was it D.C. to Florida?
Buffalo, D.C., Florida. I've been working my way south.
Working your way south. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny because, you know, the difference between Buffalo and Florida is a world of difference. I mean, you're talking 2 to 3 feet of snow at a time, probably even more than that. Whereas in Florida, you know, you got hurricanes and stuff, but you're never seeing the white stuff down there.
No. I'll tell you though, Sarasota feels like Buffalo. I could say Buffalo on the beach. Buffalo is on the water, but it feels like Buffalo in warm weather. There's a lot of Buffalonians down here. I feel like I'm home.
Oh, that's awesome. Very cool. So you came to my attention here. I get a lot of requests to be on the show now, which is great. I feel very blessed to have that. But the thing that stood out was the first sentence of the first line of your bio, and it said that a near-death experience while whitewater rafting pushed you to find a new way to break free of your 9-to-5 job. What a wake-up call, but you had to get, hit by a rock underneath the water to get this wake-up call? Tell me what happened there.
Well, I've got a really hard head, so it takes a lot to finally, get through to me. It was an awakening, all right, maybe a rude awakening, but Here's what happened in a nutshell. I was a few years out of college. This is 2001. I had a day job that I was starting to get sick and tired of. You know, the commute was bad. You get tired of taking orders from the boss, and the colleagues are all over the map. And no matter how hard you work or how little you work, you're making the same amount of money. So the whole thing starts to feel kind of pointless after a while. And I wanted something different, but I didn't know how. Yeah. Then I was exceptionally fiscally irresponsible, and I had worked myself into a massive financial hole of about $113,000 in debt.
Wow.
College debt and revolving credit debt, and just spending far more than I had, which is, I guess that's the American dream. At least that's what they tell you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You should actually be able to fund it. So I did the only logical thing. I ignored it all and pure escapism. I went on a giant adventure trip with my buddies to India.
Wow.
And, as one does, and we went whitewater rafting, and it was great fun because I was away from all my problems, away from all my debt. Felt like I didn't have a care in the world. I mean, all that stuff was kind of waiting for me in the background. But then we went through a very difficult Class 5 rapid. And I couldn't quite stay on the boat, couldn't stay on the raft. And I got
and isn't that the idea?
And I found myself.
Oh, man. So you actually went off the side.
I should have gone over the side, down and into the water.
Wow. So what was your first thought when you hit the water?
Oh, crap. That wasn't good. I remembered every last second of it. And I slowly, I was trying not to lose the oar I had. I was trying not to lose the shoe I had on. That was my buddy's shoe. And then I was starting to go, hey, I really need to breathe.
Yeah.
Breathing would be a really nice thing, right?
It's very important.
Now. Yeah. One of those small details.
Yeah.
And instead of getting kind of nervous and scared, I started getting angry because suddenly I realized what I had done. All I was doing was escaping from, the daily hell that I didn't like, but it wasn't making anything any better. It was just getting worse. And so I swore to myself then, I said, I get out of this. Things are going to be different. I'm going to come to the surface and I'm going to change my life and I'm going to make things better. And I'm going to pay off all this debt. But the crazy thing was I couldn't figure out how. I mean, Brad, what was I going to do?
Yeah.
I got out of the water. I got back home. I had no more vacation time left. I was now $113,000 in debt still, plus the cost of the trip. So even deeper. And I had no clue what to do.
Yeah. Now, were you doing real estate at all or any investments at all when you were in debt?
Nope. Didn't even own my own house. I was an apartment dweller.
Wow. Amazing. So tell me this. So you get done with that. And then it says here, you had mentioned here that the first deal that you did almost took you under. So you had this sinking effect in the first part of your career here.
All I ever did was drown at the beginning. Financially, realistically, metaphorically, it didn't matter. I was always drowning. Yeah. I bought a 6-unit building because I had read I didn't own anything, didn't own my own apartment, but when a friend of mine had handed me a copy of Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
I love that book. Great book. Yep.
It's awesome. It's awesome, except it doesn't give you any how-to. It just tells you what.
Right.
And so I understood. I had the same frustrations I had when I was drowning, but now they were answered. Just buy real estate. All right, fantastic. So having nothing but that book, I went out and bought a 6-unit building in New York City. Landlord-friendly New York City.
Oh, my gosh.
What could possibly go wrong?
Oh.
Everything.
Yeah, so a 6-unit New York City is a definitely, if you talk about jumping right in, that's jumping right in because there's a lot that goes on in New York City.
Yeah. These days I would call that kind of jumping in colossally stupid. And I was definitely colossally stupid back then. And what wound up happening was I had 6 very professional tenants, professional meaning they knew how to game the system, play the system, and live in my place without paying a penny. Because I guess my due diligence wasn't very good. Maybe there wasn't really any. I was just so desperate to have a deal. Now I was drowning again, this time having to pay a mortgage on a property that I really couldn't afford. But back then they were giving anybody mortgages.
Yes.
And I was one of those anybody's. I can't imagine why things melted down in 2008.
Yeah. Oh, that's a whole different show.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So you go from that. So what made you learn? What did you have an epiphany? Did all of a sudden you read another book and that made it happen? I mean, how did you get from the failing 6-unit New York City to the next step of being now successful or starting to feel successful?
Well, when I was falling behind on it, I bought the deal with my sister, and so my sister and I were partners on it. And one of the tenants took my sister's head and smacked it into the wall. When she was trying to collect some rent. At which point I said, "Yeah, you know what, Tracy, we're done. Let's just walk away and leave this. We must have screwed something up." So I'm like, well, what did we mess up so bad? Well, meanwhile, during all that time when we're going into pre-foreclosure on this, right? We're not paying it. Everything's a mess. I found my local real estate investors association. And I walked into a room full of people actually rehabbing properties, actually landlording properties successfully. And then these weird people called wholesalers that I had no idea what they did.
Yeah.
But I realized I needed to focus closer to home. I said, there's got to be a way. I just did something wrong. I need to figure this out. And so I started marketing and got another property under contract that I thought I was going to rehab, but I lucked out because somebody offered to buy the contract off of me. Yeah. To have me wholesale it to me, even though I didn't know what that word meant.
Yep.
And at that point, I walked away with a pretty large check. And I went, oh, wow. If I could just do this again and again. I mean, they paid me almost $23,000.
So what year was that?
2001.
Okay, yeah. Okay, got it. So because that times were a little different then. And that's when things started to build up. I mean, 2001 up until 2008 was pretty awesome. I mean, the values kept going up. So therefore the wholesale thing made sense because you were buying a property, it was appreciating after you bought it. And then you were basically assigning it over to somebody else. And then you're getting you're pulling the cash in between, which is, it's a great way to make some money.
It got me out of debt.
There you go. It worked. It works. So now what is your main source of investing today? Are you still doing the wholesaling or are you doing something different? What are you training on?
I'm still basically 85% wholesaler.
Okay.
It fits my personality type.
Gotcha.
I love marketing to find deals. I love negotiating to make deals. I really love negotiating. And then I don't particularly love, I don't love managing tenants. I don't particularly love rehabbing. I do some. Yeah. But I don't love it as much. So it's just
explain for the audience, what does the wholesaling mean? How does that work?
So everyone knows what rehabbing is, right?
Sure.
You find a property, negotiate, you put it in the contract, you fix it up, you rehab it, you resell it. Well, wholesaling, I market for the property. So I find it, I start negotiating it, I put it under contract. But now instead of me going to settlement and then doing the rehab myself and eventually reselling. Before settlement, I sell it to someone who wants to do all of that.
Right.
And I assign my position in the contract. So I'm not actually selling a property. I'm selling my contract.
Yes.
My position in the contract. I sell that for a fee to somebody else who wants to take over. They're the ones that settle on it. Then they go and do the rehab, or they go and do the landlording.
And it's called assignment here too. I think it's another term for it. They call it assignment in Pennsylvania. It's actually legal in Pennsylvania to do it. The wholesaling has become a whole new term that people are using. The thing that I guess most people say then at that point is, well, what does the seller say? That you're sitting there and grabbing money that they could have made if they would have sold it for more. I mean, do you have that kind of pushback?
You know what the seller says to me every single time? Thank you, Tom. Thank you for solving my problem.
Gotcha.
Thank you for making this easy. Thank you for getting me out of this issue, because I'm marketing for people who have problems.
Gotcha.
So maybe listing it isn't their best option. Maybe they don't want to list it. Maybe it's so messed up. I'm buying a rundown, dilapidated house, and it needs work.
Yeah.
Or there's an issue either with the property or with them. They are thankful for me. They know I've made money on the process.
Sure.
And they expect that, just like you expect a licensed agent to make 6%. Why would you begrudge me for making any money?
Absolutely.
Particularly if I'm solving your problem.
No, it makes sense. And you know what's funny about that too? Somebody was going to flip it. It's just not going to be you. You know what I mean? So you and the person obviously that buys it from you during their wholesale actually feels that there's enough equity or enough money still left in there that after you got your cut, they can actually fix it up and still sell it for more money and make some money or rent it out.
Yes, and that's because I work my numbers backwards.
Yes.
I figure out what they want to buy it for first. I know how rehabbers think. I know what they want to buy at. So if they were marketing for it directly, I know what number they would go for. So I know that if I want to wholesale it to them, I got to sell it to them at their number, which means I need to negotiate better than that to create a spread for me. Yeah. I don't try to take meat off of their side of the bone, right? Or I don't take food off of their side of the plate. Yeah. I make sure they're getting exactly what they want, and then I work it with the seller so that I'm getting it for less.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And I'll tell you, it's a big thing out there. So that's what so when you talk about your traction real estate mentor, what are you doing in that? What happens with that program that you're running?
Yeah. So program I use to teach investors of all levels. Some are beginners, some are intermediate, some are advanced who want to realize they've messed up their lifestyle somewhere along the way. They're not happy with their business. I help them retool it. But by focus, all three levels of people, beginner, intermediate, or advanced, I focus on three things. We've got to focus on marketing. You got to learn how to find deals, find the right kind of motivated sellers who need to sell a property even more than they want to sell it. Because that actually sets us up for a better negotiation, which is part two, which is making it into a deal, taking a lukewarm lead and turning it into a red hot deal by pinpointing their problem, packaging up a solution that would fix their problem, and then persuading them to say yes. Yeah. And then the third thing, you got to know how to get paid. How do you put it under contract, navigate it through till settlement, and wholesale it during that process, if that's what you choose as an exit strategy. But I have students that do anything as an exit strategy. The exit strategy doesn't matter. I teach the inbound side of it. So if you want to wholesale, or you want to buy and hold, or you want to rehab, or you want to do commercial, it doesn't matter. Those are exit strategies. Yeah. You still need the market to find them, negotiate to make them, and understand how to navigate it through the settlement.
And you know what's funny about that? We always say that the money's made during the purchase, not during the sale. And that is so true in investing. True. It really is. It's very true. And like if you buy it at the wrong price, you can do anything you want. You're not going to be able to make any money. It's the way it works. But so that's what you're doing. So the thing that I thought was really cool, and we talked about this a little bit before we went on the recording here, was that you are actually marketing yourself to the intermediate investor and the expert investor, because there's times where you get involved, just like you did. You bought a 6 unit, didn't work out so well. You thought you were an investor at that moment. Oops. But there's people that do it and then it goes bad. So you're there. You have a company and a system that you use to get them to be profitable, to market them correctly, and all those things. That's what I think is different about what you're offering.
Yeah, I find a lot of people feel trapped by the business they created. So great, they've done a few deals, or they do a bunch of deals, or they've been in business for a number of years, but they're not actually happy with their lifestyle. Yeah, because they've made a wrong turn somewhere, and instead of having their business create the freedom for them that they really want, they wind up encapsulated and trapped by their business. So yeah, they're off on their own, great, but they own their own jail cell, but it's still jail.
Yeah.
So I work with a lot of people to kind of retool their business to put themselves at the center, wrap the business around their personal goals rather than their personal goals around their business.
Yeah, amazing. Let's talk about your podcast. You have a podcast called The Art and Science of Real Estate Negotiation. So you're big on negotiation. That's the big part of purchasing it, right? At the right price.
Love it. Yeah, love it.
So tell me some of your negotiation tips.
Sure. Here, I'll give you a few. I'll give you my top 3.
Oh, here we go. All right, write this down, Hugo.
If I
already have it.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go. So I'm good. Brad, say a number.
100,000.
100,000. That's a lot. Yeah, you're laughing. So how do you feel about your number right now?
Not good. Not good.
Not good. Not good. Why not?
Because you made a face and an expression that makes me think I have the wrong number.
Exactly. Yeah. No, but how could you possibly have the wrong number? I just said say a number. I didn't say a price or a car or a house or a boat or anything. I just say a number and you feel uncomfortable about your own number.
Yeah.
So that technique, when I made that reaction, which you can both see the reaction and you're able to hear it. So it doesn't matter if we're on a video phone or regular phone or face to face. That's called a flinch. So every time you hear a number, any number whatsoever, flinch, because you put the exact thoughts that you had into someone else's head.
Yeah.
They start questioning their own number.
Oh, I love that. That's good. I like that one. I'm going to have to start practicing the flinch.
Yeah, each and every time. Second thing I would say to do is I call it bracketing. So where do we tend to meet? Where's the most fair place for you and me to meet?
My office.
Okay, fine. In the office.
It's fair for me.
Well, that would be coming all the way to you. What's more fair?
At your house or at your property.
No, that's too much on my side. What's the fairest spot for
coffee shop?
To meet? Okay, a coffee shop in the middle. Right?
Yeah.
People tend to meet in the middle. In the middle just feels fair to people. So what bracketing does is engineer the middle to be exactly where I need it to be. So let's say I don't know. Let's say I got to get a property for $150,000. At $150,000, I'll make money. Great. Well, if I ask them how much they want for the property, they say 200. I say, ooh, I flinch, right? Yep. 200, that's a lot, right? But they're $50,000 above where I need them to be. So to create a bracket so that that's the middle, I've got to go $50,000 below.
Oh, interesting. Got it.
So that way we're going to meet in the middle. Most prices move towards the middle. It just seems fair and honest that way. So I want to engineer where it is.
You're creating the middle. You're creating the middle.
Creating the middle.
Got it.
Where I need it to be.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go one step further by my technique number 3. I would never offer $100,000 on that property. I would, though, offer you $103,579.
A weird number.
Because it is a weird number. What do you think about that number?
103,579.
But that's more than what?
Yeah, that's more.
It's a little bit more. Yeah, it's a little bit more than the middle.
Now you got me intrigued.
Now you have Hugo involved.
Yeah, now I'm intrigued.
Hugo's intrigued. You're intrigued by it. You're thinking, wow, he really thought that through. Must be, this guy must know what he's doing. Because why? Because it was a specific, unique number that is intriguing. So don't just make a flat offer. I wouldn't make 100,000, but I say 103,579. I'm still effectively 50 below, but now you're going, wow, this guy's really thinking through his stuff. He must really know something. Yeah, he's serious about this. So always use a specific number. Those 3 negotiation techniques I use, and I've got 52 different techniques I use.
That's awesome.
Those 3 I use in absolutely every single negotiation because they're powerful. And all your listeners can be using those right now and watch what happens.
Yeah, no, I love it. That's good information, man. Really good. So before we wrap this thing up, and you have to let me know if there's anything you want to cover besides that. But before we wrap this up, I also want to talk. You have books out there too. Tell us about the books that you have.
I do. I have a book called How to Correctly Flip Houses for a Profit.
Okay.
So this walks you through my entire model of what does it take on the marketing end and then the negotiation end and the getting paid side, right? That contracts, control, and getting paid.
Yeah.
I bring you through the whole process. It's a very accessible read. I didn't write War and Peace. It's designed so that you can kind of read it quickly and understand what's happening.
Awesome. Well, that's really good. Is there anything else you wanted to cover on the podcast here that you want to get out to the public? I know you said Tom Zeeb, that's ZEEB.com is the website to send people to. What else do you want to say?
TomZeeb.com is for the entire podcast that focuses specifically on negotiations. So if you enjoyed those tips, I think you'll find a lot more that you enjoy. And you can go to tractionrealestatementors.com
Awesome.
as well and find out more about the program. And there's a lot of training videos there as well about a lot of the different mindset things and techniques that real estate investors need to be using.
That is awesome, man. Talk about just a tease of information that you have available. I think people definitely need to go to tomzeeb.com, listen to more, find out more, read his books. There's some good information in there. There was a lot there to do in 20 minutes, so I appreciate it very much. Thanks a lot, Tom. Thanks for coming on. All right.
My pleasure.
All right, there we go. Wow, lots of information. That was a lot. I got a lot of tips out of that, a lot of stuff going on. You have to go to tomzeeb.com and check out his website. You can check out, he's got also the podcast, The Art and Science of Real Estate Negotiation. He's got Traction Real Estate Mentors, all kinds of really good information. If you're not getting the returns you want on your investments, you want to look him up because he's going to help you out. All right, that's about it. We'll see you next Thursday at 7 p.m. Are your kitchen and bathroom remodels a little overdue? Well, now's your chance to call First Response Contracting. John Sellers will take care of you. 484-256-7136. They do residential and commercial, and they're licensed and insured. Give them a call at 484-256-7136.